today our old friend Jen Starks, Director of Community Relations at Momentum Healthcare. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Um, and you, in your role, I know you encompass multiple facilities and a very large geographic area. So maybe we'll just maybe kick off by talking about your role and the different facilities, and then if you want to just maybe talk about the care that's provided at each one while you're going through them. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. So a little about me and my experiences. I've always had my heart with the geriatric population. Growing up, my mother was a registered nurse, so once I was old enough to fend for myself, I would go into the nursing home setting, and I would hang out all day, and I would do activities, and that's how I really got my passion for the geriatric population. Since that point in time, I've had a multitude of jobs. I've been a direct support person and caring for a person with MRDD. I've been a life enrichment technician at a long-term care facility. I have done activities for demented patients. But most recently, the past 5 years, I have had a focus on admissions and marketing in the skilled nursing setting. Most recently, I was approached by Momentum Healthcare. That's the company I'm currently working for. The owner, Mo Herman, and his COO, Josh Graber. I actually wasn't seeking for a new opportunity, but they had known about me through a mutual friend and some past experiences, and they asked me to join their team. The position that I have, the Director of Community Relations, it was pre-existing, but I've taken on a new role with it in a regional position. When they approached me, they had known that I had a passion for admissions and marketing, but we also had talked about how I have a focus on customer service and employee recruitment and retention. With my experience in marketing for long-term care, if you have satisfied employees, they offer great customer service, and that in turn leads to the best marketing, positive word of mouth. And these facilities that I'm in are all very, very small towns, and that's the biggest thing that we can take from it is having the positive word of mouth, offering great customer service. So with Momentum, there's only 5 companies. It's a very small company. I'll start up north. We have Oregon Living and Rehab Center, which is a skilled nursing facility. If you go down about 15 minutes south, we're in Franklin Grove. We have Franklin Grove Living and Rehabilitation Center, which as well is skilled. And we have the Meadows of Franklin Grove, which is now assisted living. And then you go a little bit further south, and we have our facilities in Shabbona, Illinois. We have Prairie Crossing, a Living and Rehabilitation Center, and our supportive living facility as well. What's interesting about our campuses is the fact that we do have that continuum. So if we have somebody down at Prairie Crossing that is going through skilled living and they perhaps have a fall, they're able to walk 6 feet next door and they can rehab, which is amazing for couples. You have a husband and wife that are living supportive. He has a fall. She's able to go see him every day, and she doesn't have to get in her car and drive too far away. So for our campuses in Franklin Grove and Shabbona, that's definitely a great opportunity for us. But that's pretty much me, what I've been doing, and the company. We offer different levels of care. Obviously, we have the assisted living, which is out in Franklin Grove, the Meadows. That is a private pay facility, and we assist with ADLs, activities of daily living. We provide all of our meals there. Also in Franklin Grove, we do have our rehab site. Our 3 rehab facilities, we actually contract with CPT, which is Community Physical Therapy. They're specialists in therapy, and we really do try to focus on the short-term rehab approach. So we have the specialists that come in. A lot of times when I hear families asking about what to expect with short-term rehab, how often is mom going to have rehab, it's really based on each individual and what's going on with them medically. Really can't give an estimated timeline because there could be several comorbidities that are involved. So I always hear that question frequently, how long am I going to be here? But now,
I'd like to interrupt, sorry, but in regard to having that rehab on site, the fact of the matter is that you don't have to travel to go have the rehab, and if you're up to it, you can have rehab twice a day and rehab faster, so there's a huge benefit to that.
Exactly. We're actually looking for our Franklin Grove campus that's had some major renovations to our therapy department. We're looking to offering outpatient therapy as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's pretty neat. It's on the timeline right now, but that'd be another great opportunity.
Now, for folks that are coming from the east that are maybe geographically challenged, Oregon, is that you go straight out 64?
64 all the way. I live out in Sycamore. It takes 64. You go right through the lovely town of Oregon, and you're right there.
Right. And then Franklin? as you mentioned, Franklin Grove is just about 15 minutes south of Oregon. Yeah.
About 15 minutes south, right off of Route 38.
And then Shabbona, you kind of come out of Aurora through Hinckley, Big Rock, and you eventually come on to Shabbona there. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of where we are. We really are in very small communities, which is one thing that attracted me to the company. I grew up in a small town. That's where I'm comfortable. I grew up in Somonauk. There's no stoplights. So
that's right.
That's what I'm used to most commonly. I actually came out to St. Charles for a short period of time. I wanted to see if the grass was greener on the other side, expand my horizons. But I have to tell you, the traffic in the morning, I couldn't do it. I could not de-stress in my car. So there's definitely a difference between the area here in Elgin and the facilities that I'm at. It's very homey in our facilities. Things might be a little slower paced, but you get good quality care. And in the facilities I've been in, and the feedback I've gotten from our staff is the residents and guests that we serve, they're more like family. They're not patients. So that's definitely has been a draw for me.
That sense of community that is big there.
So just think, Leah, if you were there today, working there, you would have been able to just park on the front lawn.
Amen.
Not hunt for a, not hunt
I
for
get the
something.
de-stress part there, Jen. Thank you.
So does my husband. So yeah, other services that we offer in our facilities, though, is long-term care, which is the nursing home, if you want to
Yes.
put it. It has such a negative connotation to it. I hate using it, but it's the one that people know. It's the nursing home.
Right.
But when people are in long-term care, I don't think a lot of people realize that they're also able to go through restorative therapies. So while a short-term person will work with CPT therapy company in our facilities, long-term we do have CNAs that are able to direct the program and maintain independence for our residents. So assistance with walking to the dining hall, getting dressed during the day. While as it's not true therapy with a therapist, we do still have our staff to help assist in maintaining independence. Respite services are also offered at all of our facilities, including our supportive living and assisted living. If we do have an apartment that's available and say a family wants to go away for vacation, but they're taking care of mom and mom's not physically able to, they can bring her to our supportive living or assisted living for a month and we'll take care of them.
Very neat. Very, very neat. So that a lot of families do not know that option is open to them.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with how many facilities actually do it. It's new to me, but again, it is when beds are available. And when you come to facilities like our supportive living, one of the differences between supportive living and assisted living is in supportive living, we're able to take Medicaid. So beds are much more difficult to come across when you have a supportive living facility because we've got that golden ticket. We can take Medicaid to cover stays. So those are a little bit more touch and go, but if we do have the availability, respite's always an option. It's a great relief for caregivers.
Right.
Definitely.
And then are there federal funds that help to offset the cost of that?
No, that would be with that situation, Medicaid would cover if it was a Medicaid recipient, or it would just be a straight up private pay situation.
Okay. So if someone were to say start in Shabbona at the supportive living and with private pay, then if they spend down, they may become eligible for the Medicaid at some future date.
Exactly. And then also at the supportive living, Marta, our administrator there, she actually handles the entire Medicaid process.
Wow.
And she prefers to do it for families. A lot of facilities will say, yeah, if you're getting close to your spend down, you need to start applying. But what does applying really look like? It's not an easy system to navigate. So Marta takes all the information from the families, works with them, gets everything submitted, and in turn, we get Medicaid a lot quicker. I mean, if you're missing this tiniest detail with Medicaid, you might not be able to receive those benefits, which can be detrimental. So we're very fortunate to have people with Momentum Healthcare that can help with that program. And the same goes for the skilled. If a person comes in from the hospital, which we'll get to Medicare in a moment, if a person comes in under a Medicare stay and they're not able to go home, well, what happens? What happens if they don't have the funds to pay? Are you just going to kick mom out on the street? No, we look at your financial situation. We're able to assist you with that process. So that's another component, the financial component of skilled and long-term care.
Right.
That can be tricky.
Right.
It's a horse of another color.
That's a good way to put it.
So we talked about the certified by Medicaid and Medicare. Can you tell us what are the top 3 questions that families ask when they talk to you?
Yeah, so when we're talking about Medicaid and Medicare in the system, If you're looking into facilities, one good question is to ask, are the beds dual certified? What that means is you have certain beds, we'll say long-term care section, that has Medicaid beds available. And on some facilities, on the short-term side of the facility, you only accept Medicare. So if you have a long-term resident in one of these facilities, they have their long-term room, they've been there for months or years, they go to the hospital after they have a fall, their Medicare kicks into gear, then they have to transition to a different room on the different side of the facility.
With different friends. And,
With different friends, it's
yeah,
different.
It's like relocating.
With all of our Momentum facilities, all of our beds are dual certified. So that way, when we do have a long-term resident that comes back from the hospital and is in need of therapy services under a Medicare state, they can return to the comfort of their own rooms. There is different types of Medicare. There's Medicare A, which covers most of the medical necessity in a hospital, skilled nursing facility, or home health and hospice. There's also Medicare B, which covers doctor services, preventive care, durable medical equipment, outpatient services, labs, x-rays, etc. There's also Med D, which covers your medication. It's an outpatient prescription drug coverage plan. And to talk about Medicare a little bit and what it looks like, Medicare will not pick up any of the fees associated with a skilled nursing stay unless you have a 3-day inpatient hospitalization.
3 midnights is what we
Yep.
usually say.
Yeah, 3 midnights. And with that, the key, I think, is observation versus inpatient.
Absolutely.
We're seeing a lot more development with ACOs, preferred providers, and hospitals are a little bit more stricter on their inpatient criteria. So we're seeing a lot of folks that do go to the hospital and they are not meeting inpatient status. Therefore, they're not getting their Medicare coverage. Therefore, if they do need therapy, they have to come in and pay privately for their room and board. But if that's a circumstance, you always do have your Medicare B coverage. So you can come in private pay after a observation hospitalization stay, and you can also receive therapy under your Med B benefit. So,
But it's better to do the 3 days. Because when you
Yes.
come into the skilled nursing facility, it's a much more attractive financial situation.
yes, exactly. If you do have your 3 inpatient midnights at the hospital, Medicare will give you a bank of 100 days. Days 1 through 20 in a skilled setting, they are covered 100% by Medicare. Days 21 through 100, there is a copay that is associated. So the charges do mount if you do come in a private pay situation. So if possible, just make sure you understand inpatient versus observation for your loved one if they ever do go into the hospital setting. And it can also be startling from the rehab approach because you don't expect rehab. It's just something that happens as an accident. A lot of people don't plan in advance for it. So that's why I'm so happy to be here today to talk about the ins and outs and what people should know in the event that they do need skilled services or long-term care.
Are you nervous, Jen?
That's
That's what you were going to say, skilled nervous.
I know, it was a little bit of a Freudian slip, but I'm so happy to be here. You ladies are lovely. I am being a ham. This is great. In long-term care, it can be kind of a dry topic, but I'm having a good time so far. Hope y'all are too.
Yeah, we were telling you at breakfast, Jeanette was brought up the first time we came to the station. We were talking so fast, we ran out of material in 15 minutes. And like we were just like we were on steroids. So it does make you nervous at first. We understand that. So now are there some questions that predictably that families will ask, when they come in. You have kind of some top questions that they'll always seem like hit you guys with.
Yeah. And this, I don't know if it's really a question, but it's a tip for families. If you have a loved one that is in the hospital and they're probably resistant to care,
Yes.
they want to go home. They don't want to go to rehab. There's no place like home, and we understand that. One thing that I would say and recommend to people is if you do have a loved one in the hospital, speak to your social worker, speak to your discharge planner, ask if a liaison such as myself can come out and talk to mom and dad or dad. That's one of my roles, is reaching out and going to the hospitals, doing these face-to-face assessments, and being a friendly face for these guests before they come into our doors.
Mhm.
It definitely helps smooth out the transition. It's the fear of unknown, and again, people don't plan for skilled care, so to be able to be in the hospitals and talk to people about what to expect, what's my day going to look like, can I keep my doctor? I think that's a huge component, so definitely
Yes.
A lot of families, they ask a lot of questions in advance, but I also think there's definitely a value to actually going in and seeing the patient as well. Now, it's not always possible due to the cognitive status, but we do what we can, and we reach out to families to take that fear out of the unknown. Another thing that I'm constantly hearing is dad's really upset that we're putting him in a home, and we're not terrible people, so please don't think that. We're not awful. He's going to say nasty things about us. We just care about him so much.
Yep.
Relax. We get that. We understand that the transition can be difficult from being independent to being in the skilled setting. That's huge. I mean, a lot of people, if they're coming in for long-term care, you have to think they've lost their home, they've probably lost their spouse, they lost their family members. It can be very difficult. Not only for the patient, but the families as well. They do have this sense of guilt, like, I'm putting dad in a home. I'll be here every day, but I have to put him in a home. You have to have confidence in the staff to know that you deserve a break as well. Caregivers definitely, it's a stressful position. So you have to remember the fact that it won't be easy, but we'll get through it together, and that's why we have social services available. And all of our staff, we pretty much, especially in the Momentum facilities, we become a tight-knit family. So
Yes.
we're in it together. I would say please don't have that hesitation and feeling like you're giving up on your loved one. It's a part of the continuum of care. You know, you're independent up until a point in time, then you might need in-home care, such as with Right at Home. Then maybe you need a little bit more assistance and you graduate to independent living or supportive living. You need a little bit more help. And then it gets to the point where home health, even in that setting, might not be enough, and then you have to go into the long-term skilled setting. But that's not the end. The saddest thing, I think, is for people that miss the continuum. They're at home, I'm going to stay home, this is what I'm doing, and then they have an accident and they end up in the hospital and they end up long-term care. They miss part of that spectrum.
Right. So the socialization too. If they go into a facility with supportive living or assisted living, then they get acclimated to a more vibrant social setting than just going straight to a skilled nursing.
Exactly.
So Jen, can you tell us some of the activities that you have there at your facilities?
Yeah. It's okay. Long-term care. What's the first activity we think of?
Bingo.
Bingo. You got it. Surprise to everybody. Bingo's not for everybody.
That's right.
So when it comes to our activity program, I mean, this is what our residents have to look forward to in their downtime, especially, I mean, if they're there for rehab. If you're there for rehab, you want to get home. You don't want to just watch the paint drying. So what we do with our activity program is we structure it based on each individual's needs. We obviously do have bingo, and please make sure if you ever join, you're sitting in the right spot, because if you take the wrong bingo spot, there's going to be trouble. I've seen it too many times. That's my PSA for the day. Just keep your own bingo spot. But we do like to have the community come into a lot of our facilities, and again, socialization. Just because you're in a facility, that doesn't mean you're disconnected from the world. So we've had florists come in and they'll do flower arranging classes for us because we found that Gladys was a gardener. She enjoyed that. So it's really based on each individual. And when you go to, say, the Meadows of Franklin Grove, our assisted living facility, there's a wood shop. So the men, they can do wood crafting. There's a pool table. We have a movie theater. We have a salon for pampering. But when it gets down to the activity program specifically, it's looking at each individual's needs. I think about a gentleman that we had for rehab. He was 50 years old. Yes, a 50-year-old going through rehab. It's a thing. We're seeing a lot more younger individuals coming in with insurance as opposed to Medicare. But this gentleman came in, and bingo was not for him. So we did a little bit of a needs assessment. We found out what was valuable to him. Well, he was a fisherman. We could not take him down to Lake Shabbona while he was going through rehab. That just wasn't possible. But what we did is we were able to get him on the Wii, and he was able to go Wii fishing with his nephew when he came into the facility. So it's little moments like that. If we can get any involvement from family, we always are welcoming family into our facilities, and pets. Pet friendly all around. Pet therapy is huge.
Good.
Second PSA of the day, I suppose, is if you do bring your pet into a long-term care facility, you probably should arrive a little early because you're going to have a hard time getting through the hallways. Just because when we see those furry friends run down the hallway, oh, everybody's going crazy after them. So yeah, give yourself a little extra time if you're planning on bringing a pet into the facility. And then also, like our facility in Oregon, we have a Thursday morning coffee chat, and this program was put on, it started about 15 years ago from one of our volunteers. Her name is Verna, And Verna had a friend in rehab, and she saw the disconnect that there was between the skilled setting and being in the community, and she wanted to offer that. So every Wednesday we do a coffee chat, and we invite members of the community to come in.
Oh, how neat.
And it's really great because our Oregon facility is actually right next door to the Rock River Center, which is a senior center. So
Yes,
they're
yes.
able to come over and have coffee with our residents. It makes them feel included. Verna, still 15 years later, is volunteering with us, and she is into her 90s.
Wow.
So shout out to Verna for that. But
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
just goes to show the importance that is there. And volunteers definitely are always welcome in skilled facilities, assisted, supportive, just to bring that sense of community back into the building.
And if the families kind of want to come and hang out,
Oh, more than
join
welcome.
in? Yep.
Yes. Visiting hours in Momentum facilities, we don't have a set time. If you need to see mom at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can see your mother at 2 o'clock in the morning. We just say you have to call in between those hours because our doors are locked for safety of our residents. So visiting hours all the time, you're more than welcome. You can come have a meal in our facilities. We do have some fine dining in our facilities. I love eating meals at the Meadows and down at Prairie Crossing. So they definitely can join in for meals. And also when you're talking about family, just because you're in a setting such as this, it doesn't mean, again, you're trapped behind those walls. If you have a nephew that's getting married and you want to go see that, which I don't blame you, you're able to get a doctor's note. The staff will be able to do that, and your family can take you on outings. Or if you just want to go to lunch, we just need to make sure that the residents that do go out into the community in that setting without one of our staff members, they're able-bodied and they're safe.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
a
can
big part.
definitely re-enter society and attend events if you do have that doctor's note. Also, another activity that we do is we do outings for our supportive living and independent living, trips to Target, Goodwill, they're hits as well. So again, it's bringing that sense of community back into these settings.
And you're saying to
That's
get
great.
a note from your doctor,
Mhm.
so you have doctors in your building.
We do have doctors that run in our facility. It's a great point to bring up. Not all physicians follow at all facilities, so sometimes we do have to change a doctor in order to have that doctor do the on-site within the facility. So we have constant contact with our physicians. We're always updating them on the patient's care, any changes in condition. So our nursing staff, they would reach out to the physician and say, you know, Pearl wants to go out to her nephew's wedding, and they would just provide us with that script. We do the legwork. Just one less thing to take off families' minds.
Now this is maybe kind of in the weeds question, but let's say someone went in for short-term rehab and they're needing to transition back to their primary care from the doctor they see. How does all that kind of work, that discharge process?
On a physician level, the physician can actually request a call from the physician to talk about the level of care, or we do provide a discharge packet of paperwork, which is usually there's a follow-up appointment 1 to 2 weeks, say, after that. The transition in returning to home, our social service department, they work with our families and our residents to talk about what services are needed in the home when I go back. What do I need set up in order for me to succeed? The last thing that we want is somebody to go through rehab
Right.
and bounce right back in.
Right. No, don't want that.
If they do, though, there is a 30-day window that Medicare will still continue to cover. So the conversations that we have, we're realistic about the expectation, and unfortunately, not always do people want to stay for rehab for the duration. They want to get home. They're good. The doctor might not think so. The therapist might not think so, but they think they're good. So one thing that we've implemented in our facilities as customer service effort is to do follow-up discharge phone calls. We reach out and we ask, you know, did right at home show up when they said they were going to? We want to make sure that home health services are in place.
That's good.
Do you understand your medication listing?
That's really critical.
That is. I mean, that last day when you are seeing those golden gates and you're getting back home, you're probably not listening to your medication instructions.
No.
So we want to make sure that that is where it needs to be as well to ensure success. We follow up for the first 30 days just to make sure that the patient's doing okay and the transition went smoothly.
That is, like when they're about to go home, is it someone from your staff, or would it be home health that kind of goes out and looks at home and see if that setting needs some adjustments now that maybe your condition has changed?
Yeah, in all of our skilled facilities with our CBT therapy company, we do free in-home safety assessments as well.
Oh, cool.
That way we can see if grab bars are needed. Most commonly, we're pulling up rugs during those sessions.
Oh, yeah, throw rugs.
Oh, geez, the throw rugs get you every time. So, yep, we do offer that free in-home safety assessment through our therapy companies.
See, like when I was young, they always had quicksand on the TV shows, and as a child, I was always worried about like how to deal with quicksand as an adult, but it's really the throw rugs that we have to worry about.
It really is, really. And we're fortunate enough with our campuses in Franklin Grove and Shabbona that they're right next to the assisted and supportive living. So we'll take our therapy on the go. We'll navigate the stair set going into the facility, the uneven levels in the parking lot. If you're going through rehab in a facility, you've got some stationary floor. It's not going anywhere. There's no bumps in the road. So we take them, we navigate that territory, that unknown threshold. Yeah, it's, yeah.
Well, time has once again gotten away from us, but we do not want to leave without getting your contact information. You would share that today.
I most definitely will. So, if anybody wants any information on the 5 facilities that I represent, sorry, it's going to be long. Prairie Crossing Living and Rehabilitation Center in Shabbona, Illinois. Prairie Crossing Supportive Living in Shabbona, Illinois. The Meadows of Franklin Grove Assisted Living. Franklin Grove Living and Rehabilitation Center in Franklin Grove, or Oregon Rehabilitation and Living Center. Please feel free to give me a call. My number is 815-757-7638. Or you can go online, check us out on Facebook for any one of our facilities or our websites, and I believe the information will be posted as well.
Yes.
Please don't ask me to rattle off 5 websites. I can't do it
No,
right
no,
now.
no,
Okay,
no,
all right.
no.
Cut me a little slack. First timer.
That phone number is great. That phone number is a good thing.
And so your information we will have your information on our websites, the Right at Home websites. Right? And then I think that Leah may put it up on the WRMN website as well.
You
So
bet.
the listeners will be able to find you in all different realms.
Great. If you're going to call, just please keep it before 10 p.m. That's all I ask.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, thank you. It's always a joy wherever I see you, which is frequently out kind of DeKalb County way, it seems like.
Always a pleasure, Kathy.
you make
It's
me
always a
smile.
pleasure.
You brighten my day every time I see you, Jen.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.